Adesanya's decision to take a break is looking better and better with time. The one thing that we don't know is why. We don't actually know why. And make sure that you understand this, okay? You will never be done with the sport. But one day you'll wake up and the sport will be done with you. You will never be done with the business. But one day you'll wake up and the business is done with you. Like, there's not actors out there that pursue this and reach the heights that one day decide they don't want to act anymore. The fan base goes, the revenues go, the box office draws goes, the competition gets hotter, and all of a sudden they're just not getting those roles. It's not that they're turning them down like they like to tell you in interviews. They're not being offered them. You got a very famous actor. How come you didn't run a project? Man, I just haven't seen anything that I like, and I'm focusing on my family. You'll give answers. That's true. No one wants to hire me. I'm doing nothing different. I got the same name. I got the same quote. I do the same thing that I've always done. I even do it in the same clothing. Everything's this. I have not changed. But the industry changed. I'm not done with the industry, but the industry's done with me. And sport is one of those things that for sure happens. But in a team sport, you can blend in. In a team sport, you can stick around and go from the field to the sideline. It's one of these things where there's still a spot, and there's still, as you're going through that adjustment phase, when you're in one-on-one combat in front of the world, there's nowhere to hide. There's not an injury or a fake injury. There's not the idea of an injury and or a made-up injury that you could hide in a jersey. For example, it's not a matter of I haven't slowed down. It's not a matter of I haven't gotten faster. It's seen. It's right there. The evidence is right in front of the world. There's no way around it. And when most fighters reach the point where that chamber is now empty, it's nothing that you can see. Most. I understand that on many, you can, and you can identify it. But for most, you can't. So now you got a trainer, he's scratching his head, and he decides that you were tired, he decides that your hands didn't look good, and you got to focus on this, right? You try to break it down with some type of sophistication, and the athlete is never going to tell you the truth. He's going to keep the truth to himself because he doesn't want it to be true. And he also thinks that if he goes and deals with it, he can fix the truth, which is, this isn't physical, it's mental. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it as much. And this is very much the want business. From a competitive standpoint, when you talk about effort, when you talk about grit, when you talk about heart, these are all beautiful words that all mean want. Does he want to go out there with one eye swollen, he's down a round, and there's 10 minutes to go against a younger and faster guy? Does he want to keep on doing that? Does he want to do what is necessary to be successful in this match? Does he want to run every morning at 5 a.m.? Does he want to go to practice every day at 3 o'clock? Does he want to sleep right, eat right, have distractions, say no, turn things down, sacrifice? Does he want to do that? Okay, he does still want to do it. Well, does he want to do it as much as he used to? And that's where the game starts to come in. Because a lot of times you go, yeah, I do want to do it. I don't want to do it for 25 minutes, but I can keep that want for 15. Well, your main event in your title fight is going to be 25. Well, this isn't going to work for me. Or I do still want it. I want it for 9 minutes. Okay, well, the competition is 15. I mean, do you start to see where the problem comes in? And very few fighters can identify that. And they don't ever need to identify it for you, the audience. They don't ever need to come out and tell you, I don't want this. I'm not the same. I'm not as hungry. They don't ever need to do that. But if they can do it inside, and it is a situation when this happens within the sport that it will appear instant. It will appear in the snap of a fingers, and that guy will not look like you've ever seen him look before. And you won't quite be able to break it down. You might even give the credit to the opponent. You might be looking in the wrong direction, but inside was an effort issue, and the effort comes down to want. You'll hear a million times that a rich man can't fight. It's hard to get a rich guy to do it. And this has been the whole downfall of Conor McGregor. Like, you'll hear all of these different things. There's a truth to a lot of that. Maybe that is why you wanted it. Money's a very good motivation. But when you get to the point where you don't want it, and only you knew that, what do you do? Because what most fighters do is they keep on walking out there. They try again. They hope inside. They know what it is. They don't tell anybody. but they hope inside, they hope to God in heaven above, that when that Saturday comes, because they'll go through peaks and balances. You'll go 10 years where you want it. You want every day for 10 years. And then you go for a few years where you want it most days. And as long as the competition happens to fall on one of those days, we're good. But then you get where you want it a couple of days a week, and the other 5 is a little bit in between. So now that game of hoping the competition falls on one of those days outside of your control, you have no idea. You have no idea when it's going to come or where it's going to come or why it's going to leave and when it's going to leave. You have no idea. So you sign the contract and you go through the camp and you just hope competition falls on one of those days where you want to do it. And it just becomes fewer and further between. So the athlete will generally keep on doing it. He will keep on signing up and he will keep on fighting. He will keep on looking awful. But it's not a physical issue. There's no trainer that can fix it. There's no motivation that can fix it. It's something inside. And a lot of times I always give the example of it's like a gun and you fire your last bullet. You can offer a different example if you want, but no matter how good the gun, no matter how sharp, no matter the power, no matter how well you took care of it, how oiled it is, when it fires its last bullet, it can't fire anymore. You can polish it and you can love it and you can watch it and you think it's a bigger and scarier gun than another gun. If one has a bullet and one doesn't, you see the difference. And I don't tell you that Izzy reached that point. I don't do that. But I suggest that that's blatantly obvious. They want to give a guy a world title fight, he is passing on it. They want to give a guy a match and book him, and he's saying no. But I think that it's responsible of Izzy, because there is ways to refine that. There is ways to get it back. But the way that it's done by every athlete who goes out there and then takes 5 and 6 and 7 in a row and is begging Dana behind the scenes, keep me booked, just give me one more. Number 8, boss. Number 9, boss. I can get this right. I can right the ship. The guy that does that, it never comes back. It never comes back by pushing through it. Most things in life do. Most things, that's what fighting actually gives you. It shows you get up and go again. Go again and go harder. If harder doesn't work, go again, but go smarter. You change it, you keep on trying. Most things, this side, the mental and the want, does not come back by pushing through it. There's only one way to get it back, which is to stop doing it. You take it away and you stop doing it. There's a number of relationships that have worked out to this day. They got kids and they got grandkids, but if they traced it back, it came to that. We stopped. We took a break. Made the heart grow fonder, they got back together, and the rest was history. Happens very often in relationships. But the relationship between you and will and desire can only come back if you remove yourself completely. You're not guaranteed it will come back. And the risk when you remove yourself is now the physical side that wasn't a problem becomes a physical side. You don't stay as sharp. You don't stay as hard, right? It's this really interesting balance. For becoming a champion, everything's got to come together at the same time. But I think Izzy's doing the right thing. And Izzy hasn't told us what I just said. Izzy hasn't told us anything. For all we know, he's got an injury he doesn't want to talk about. My only point of bringing up the injury, we don't know what it is. I'm an outsider. I'm looking at it, okay, what's going on here? And I know that Izzy personally had a massive motivation for a massive amount of time. He had a boogie monster in the closet that was keeping him up and kept on driving him. His name was Alex Pereira. And when Izzy got over that hump of Pereira, there's many times in his life, okay, I figured everything out. Everything is solved. Everything that I've been chasing, everything that I've been working, the one guy that I'm focused on, I just put him down and I put him out. I have fixed my life. I'm done. But it didn't work that way. He got another contract. He's face to face with Duplessis. Okay, great. Izzy has got to have a reason to want to fight the guy. He doesn't just show up and fight. It's never worked that way with him. He has got to have a reason. He's got to have conflict, and he will find it somewhere. And he found it. He found it with a white man from Africa claiming he was more African than the black man from Africa. And it pissed him off, right or wrong, but it did. And then they took that one from him. And they brought in a guy that was ranked number 6, who had lost to the guy that Izzy just beat. They brought in a guy that was number 6, which is outside the normal rankings for a number 1 contender, which is top 5. They brought in a guy that Adesanya had never considered having to fight. And he didn't have a problem with him. And he didn't build a problem with him. And he couldn't manufacture a problem with him because they had laid in bed at night thinking about the guy. It was a surprise. It was a change. It was last minute. The show must go on. There was a lot of things that went into it. that took Izzy off of the game that Izzy's used to playing. And when you watched him within that fight, it was 100% of the realm that he likes to fight, which was stand-up. And you couldn't quite figure out what was different. You can't quite figure out what's going to be different next time. And you can't quite figure out why Izzy isn't calling him out, because that didn't look like Izzy, it seems like. Just get a clear head, realize what we're getting into, go out there and beat him 5 rounds straight. That's what it would seem, but there's something that isn't being revealed. Something that only he knows. And I would think by looking at it, I would think by the compliments that he's given to Pereira, I would think that at some point after knocking out Pereira, he exhaled for the first time. For the first time in his entire mixed martial arts career, he was able to relax. And once you relax, it's a very tough way to come back, to ever come back. And the only way you can ever hope to replace that desire is to remove yourself completely, which for now, he's done.